Dr. María Limardo, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you here with us today. Please, let's start off with how you went from MD, PhD to being a medical intuitive and an extracellular matrix specialist. We're just dying to hear about all of it.
Well, I think it started when I was a little kid, basically. I was a very hypersensitive person. I had memories from conception on. I remember a lot of things from when my mom was pregnant and whatever traumas or situation she was going through. And then when I was probably 5, I started to have all these beings visiting me, and I didn't know what it was. And, you would think because I grew up in a Hispanic household that they would have more compassion for me. But my dad was very academic, my mom too, somehow. Um, and I think my mom was some sort scared about it.
Yeah.
She might have been having the same things and she blocked them.
Mm.
So I developed panic attacks
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know how to handle it. I couldn't sleep by myself, for myself. I became very clingy with my mom, my dad, my sister, and none of them could bear the fact that I wanted to sleep with them every night. So I spent a lot of sleepless nights when I was a little kid, to the point that I could see the damage it was doing in my adrenal glands and my kidneys. And right after that, after 10 years old, I started to develop kidney stones. And my divinity, my mind was saying, I knew something was going to happen. How can I stop this? You know? And then the panic attacks and all of that. My mom, in her knowledge then, took me to a psychologist and a psychiatrist, right? And I was medicated till I was probably 22, 23 years old for the panic attacks and all of that. But I think now I was really mad for so many years for taking that without counting, that position without counting with what I was feeling. But now I understand it's the only thing she knew what to do, right?
Right.
And now I see it as protection, because if I was a teenager, seeing these things and telling everybody, although I learned to read tarot at 11 years old by myself.
Wow.
So that it became a sort of protection so I wouldn't get bullied in school. So that worked because I could mask it somehow. And I was feeling calm and I was regulating my body. So it came as a protection. Once I started going to the program of MD, PhD, and I went to all these different classes and really learning how the body works, it's when I said, I have to stop this medicine. It's stopping who I am.
Yes.
So I titrated back to 0 by myself, just following guidance. And it took me 2 years. So I would just cut a quarter and stay there till I felt okay. It was up and down during that time, right? But then something magical happened. When I finally went off completely, I remember on a snow blizzard, I don't know why I put my hands in front of me. And I started to see colors again. So I realized, oh my God, I could see auras. like when I was a little kid. When I
Wow.
was a little kid, I thought it was me playing with colors, you know, moving my hands. And I was like, I could really do this, really, really do this. And it
It's so
became
interesting, the whole
something
time that you were medicated, though, that all got suppressed or
suppressed,
you couldn't.
diminished. Yeah.
As soon as you stopped, it came back. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it came back for you. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh, me too.
'Cause you
I,
might
I,
you
I
might
was
not have, you know, but
fascinating.
yeah.
So I became very critical of what I was learning
Mhm.
because I immediately started to develop my medical intuition. So we would go through rounds and, you know, what is this patient having? And I immediately knew even the cholesterol level of that person
Wow.
without looking at the test. So it became rough in a way because my peers thought that I was showing off, that I just wanted to be the best. And for me, it's like, oh, well, it's logical. That's the only answer I have. Well, it's logical. Do you see what's happening here? So it was a lot of personal and search inside of me. Why am I getting this information? Somebody else know. And I also realized while I was doing that everybody has the ability and capabilities of doing this,
Yeah.
but they were not paying attention enough. Or what at that time I said, too much time on their hands. I think I had, because I was daydreaming, right?
Oh, yeah.
And daydreaming actually was my connection to get the info. So I went through MD, PhD. It took me a long time, like 10 years, because my PhD was, I had the blessing maybe that different schools closed, and I had to move to another school.
Mm.
I graduated from Temple University. Then I went to Hahnemann. And like 6 months later, they said, we're going to close.
Oh my God.
So they are all transfer us back to Temple University, which I wasn't mad. So I did started the PhD program there, but it was cancer related. So my lab were the ones that discover P53, which is a molecule that controls the cell cycle, right? So it is the gatekeeper of the cell cycle. When you get a mutation on P53, that's where you get crazy cancer, right? And that's one of the markers they look for. And then I was into that. And actually, I was doing pathology. I wanted a PhD in pathology because I thought cancer. And the funding from our school went to the basketball team that year. So a lot of programs have to be closed. And my program in cancer pathology was one of those closed.
Wow.
So they moved us to Jefferson Medical School. And then they told us that bad news, you're being placed in the genetics department. You can still do, you know, your cancer research in genetics, but now you're going to be in the clinical genetics department. And I said, okay, I'm not mad about it. Actually, at that time, I thought genetics is the gateway to the future. That's what I thought. And we moved to Jefferson, and I continue with my professor, Edward Mercer, who was one of the discoverers of P53. And then he got sick and he eventually died. So I spent a year in limbo. And I was in what people call Saturn return. I was 29, 28 actually. And I said, what am I going to do? A year, I'm like here. I don't have a lab. I don't have anything to do. And God knows what happens. I got pregnant. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. You know, I have a year to have a kid and then get back in. Perfect.
Divine intervention right there.
Yeah, what I did. And I met the most wonderful professor, the late Yoni Uito. He was finished and he was the head of the dermatology, and he changed the name to cutaneous biology department. And he was doing genetic research on a disease called epidermolysis bullosa, which is a disease of the extracellular matrix. It's horrible, but I could see the short circuits on these patients all over, and their skin was coming off. So when I was there, so many magical things happened. And I didn't know why I was there. I had no clue why I was there, because it was not a disease that I was interested in. It was interesting, the whole journey of it, but I didn't know that I was placed there to know the extracellular matrix. I was part again of the group that discovered collagen 17. And I was in charge of describing the mouse gene of collagen 17. So it was great. I discovered how it worked. And collagen 17, it's part of, let's say, a socket in each cell that close like that. In that socket, it's called hemidesmosomes. So you need collagen 17 to attach itself to each cell. So current goes in between, not only current, photons. Okay. And then I was excited about that. And it became my project of becoming a postdoctoral fellow and then tenure. And at that time, I moved to Miami to finish a postdoctoral fellowship because that was the other lab in United States. There was one in San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Miami. So I loved it in Miami, sun, but I couldn't keep up with the tenure track, and they also eliminated that. And I became disillusioned with how the politics of research and treating patients, and I became sick, really. I got shingles for the longest time for the stress and not being myself. So I said, I have to make a change.
What was the disillusions? Can you expand on that a little bit? Like what did you do with that?
Well, it is producing results oriented without the gatekeeping of how, experiments should be conducted. And you have no opening for having aha moments or eureka moments. You cannot get guidance, internal guidance to where these experiments should go, especially if you had big pharma being the ones that are paying for your research.
Right.
They say, oh no, we're giving you this money to do this. And then you give us their results to us. And you knew that the results that you needed to have what they were expecting. Right.
So there's a lot of corruption there happening.
It's a lot of corruption. And then the university, it's also under this huge pressure you know, producing papers and new discoveries. And you make mistakes, or you don't see where the error was in statistics, and
Mhm.
then it's not reproducible,
Yeah.
and you question yourself. So I decided that was not the way I wanted to practice, and I wanted to see my clients. I said, I want to be able to have total freedom in what I
Mhm.
do and what I tell my clients. And at that time, I started to read about um, Carolyn Miss, and I read the book, and I was like, this is me. She's in a different field, but this is me. I've been reading everything.
Mm.
And I started to wonder if there was a training, because I said, I do it, but I don't know how to stop blurting the answers. You know, I have to have some sort of filter
Filter boundaries. Yeah. Mhm.
and boundaries.
Mhm.
And I am not here to prove everybody that I know what I know, or that I could be a really good diagnostician. And that's when you do genetics, that's what you are, a good diagnostician. And I realized then that a diagnosis could bring clarity or could be dooming.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because think about those clients or patients who are told you have 3 months to live and then they die right on those 3 months, right? Like it is literally, if you believe it and you internalize it in your field, you can totally manifest those things to happening. So yeah.
So then I was doing research. So I let my license to labs, because
Mhm.
I'm doing research. I'm not actually seeing clients or patients unless they are completely related to these rare diseases. And I said, well, Florida is different. It's open to maybe more holistic things, which it wasn't when I moved here in the year 2000. Um, but I started to do my thing, and little by little, I met people that understood what I was doing. A lot of my clients came in because of my background, and I would tell everybody, listen, I don't have a license, and I'm not going to prescribe you medicine. That's never been my way. And I'm here to see how can we align your body to what you're supposed to be, and maybe supplement with food or certain supplements or energy corrections, because I always believed that you could heal yourself. In fact, of everybody in my family, I'm the one with the smallest tremors. My
Mhm.
Mm.
mom had to have a DBS, which is a deep stimulating brain thing,
Mhm.
done.
Mhm.
Um, my grandmother couldn't hold a
Oh, so
pencil.
your whole family has that, they
It
have that
is
genetic
it is very dominant.
familial essential tremor, you said it's
Yeah,
called?
yeah. Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, okay.
But yours is the least predominant because of the work that you've been doing on
The
yourself.
work that I've been
And you're
doing.
aligning yourself and really following your true passion and purpose. And I really believe that that's a huge
Yeah.
part of healing yourself, is being in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. And you've been following that innately and beautifully. So I think that's probably a huge part too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then with my liver, I know that I have detoxifying problems.
Right. You don't detoxify well. Right.
Yeah. But what I do is I keep my body clean. I use clean products.
Right.
I use most natural products, even
Mhm.
makeup. I was also a makeup artist for a while. in my
I just want to stop and tell the listeners why, though, because right, everything, all of those products we put on our body, all those products that we use in our home, all of these things have to be processed by the liver also. So that's why you're not using those things, right? Because if you know, okay, I have a little bit of a compromise situation
Yeah,
here, how can I unburden my body a bit, which is exactly what you're doing, which is beautiful.
yeah. And also I fast.
Yeah.
Today, I usually fast 3 days a week,
Mhm.
every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then I eat mainly vegetables or organic products. If
Yeah.
I'm going to eat animal protein, which I still think is important,
Mhm.
I don't eat it every day. I eat it when my body is in need of iron, basically.
Mhm.
Um, so I am very meticulous, if that's the word, with my body. My body is my temple. So I
Mhm.
listen to it. I listen to the innate intelligence and the magnificence of my cellular structure, right?
Mhm. Beautiful.
Um, so I do that. And uh, I actually, people are like, you're not 10. And I'm like, because I don't have the high bilirubin anymore. I used to be very yellow, and people would think, oh my God, you're 10, it's beautiful. And I'm like, it's high bilirubin.
Oh.
So, it's like part of the process. It's what I find is you gotta pay attention to what your senses are telling you. You gotta pay attention to what your heart is screaming. You gotta pay attention also what your mind is trying to tell you, and try to decipher which hemisphere is talking to you, right?
Yeah.
And try to, I'm not gonna say control the monkey mind, because the monkey mind also have a purpose, but tell the monkey mind sometimes, shut up,
Yeah.
But everything, what I've learned till now is that every organ, every cell in our body has a higher purpose.
Mhm.
Mm.
Everything, it's connected to everything. And
Mhm.
when you meet somebody else, let's say I meet you girls here, I can immediately feel the connection. I
Mm.
can immediately, not in the sense that I'm diagnosing you, because that was my previous years as a medical intuitive. I don't need to prove you or prove myself that I'm sensitive. I now choose to feel your biofield in the most heartfelt
Mm.
essence.
That's so
Mhm.
beautiful.
That is
So,
beautiful. Yeah, I love
yeah.
that.
So amazing, Dr. Limardo, how you went from such a reified, stagnant, I would say rigid and corrupt, to be honest, system
Mhm.
to, and then getting through all the years of being medicated. And then you started to just really honor and privilege your knowing, like you just
Mhm.
described. And then it leads you on the beautiful path of whatever is meant to be for you that you've allowed yourself to follow, which to me, like you're saying, that's the healing. The healing is that we trust ourselves. The healing is we trust, right? We trust the big picture, all of that. And so, and you've just done so many different, really, really amazing things that one of the things one of the descriptions you use for your work is the bridge to healing, right? Tell us about that.
Mm.
Well, that came to me in one of my great teachers, which is Kim Sear. She was saying, "You're at the bridge. You should not hold people's hands all the time, because they don't become wholesome. They don't become what they need to become."
Mm.
So I said, oh my God, I should call my company the Bridge to Healing. And I explained to everybody, when they come to me, I hold your hand till
Mhm.
you till you tell me let go.
Yes.
because you're ready. I'm
Yeah.
not here to be your shaman or your curandero or your healer. I
Right.
wanted you to come with me, and I have limited appointments. I only see people 7 times because that's what my experience. It's been telling me that in 7 appointments with me, you're ready to work on yourself by yourself.
Mm.
So I said, I am a facilitator of divine connection, of divine health.
Mhm.
So I want my clients to come to me, and by the 7th appointment, they know exactly what to do when something else arises. And I said, it's not that I'm not going to see you anymore if you have a conundrum and, something really difficult. Hey, I'm still a bridge to healing. You can come here, consult, and say, I don't see the exit. I
Mhm.
could help you with that.
Mhm.
But if we become gurus, or, oh, I don't only go to this person because she's my healer, you are not helping yourself. You're
Mhm.
just enclosing yourself in certain modalities or certain energy patterns that feel great to you, because
Mm.
God energy patterns have to feel great in order to have a healing. We have to go through all of them. So I tell my clients too, it's like I have lots of people that if what I'm doing, it doesn't help you, hey, we have Heather and we have Vanessa, and I have a lot of my students that I refer to if I can solve the problem of this person. It is creating a healing community so
Yeah, I love
everybody
that.
can become a bridge.
I
Mhm.
love that so much because Heather and I always say that. We're like, we're not the guru. I'm not the guru. I'm not your healer. We're here to support you, to guide you, but you really are your best healer. And it's building that and fostering that within the client that I think is the most important thing. So it's like you guide them, you teach them, and you help them grow and evolve and strengthen their own intuition so they can become their best healer, right? That's how I see it. And a good practitioner is not a practitioner that you need forever. It's one who helps you grow and expand, that you don't need them forever, that you can like move on and like heal yourself, right? Because we really do have everything within us to heal ourselves. It's just that we don't know how to activate it, I feel like, right? Like, so we need some support. So that was so beautiful. And we are not always like healing. Like when you come to a practitioner, there has to be like this resonance, right? Where you feel aligned to them and it's a connection. It's not just the homeopathic remedies that I prescribe, right? It's this also this resonance and connection that is part of the healing, right? So going to the person that resonates is important, but then like that might be like a pearl on the necklace and then you need to move on too also, or maybe that person just isn't for you now at this time anymore and you have to move on. And it's nice to have that community of other people who you can say, I think that I've given you what I can. How about you go see so and so too? Is like I love that. So yeah.
Yeah, having different perspectives, energetic perspectives.
Yes.
It's not just about one thing.
Yeah.
One of my shticks that I have, that I tell the people that I train now as medical intuitives, it's
Mm.
everyone needs a Felix the Cat bag of tricks. So you put your hand intuitively
Mm-hmm.
and see what comes out, what is
Mm-hmm.
for the highest harmonic frequency of your client, right?
Mm.
So with that, I'm saying to my students, it's like, do not get stagnant with this just training.
Mm-hmm.
Go to
Mm-hmm.
the next training that feels
Yeah.
great in your heart. So you have an extra tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe you are efficient in tapping, but
Mm-hmm.
your higher self is screaming, that's not the tool that's going to remove this stagnation. Why don't you try an herb? Or maybe a salt, or maybe it's homeopathy, or an oil. So if you have a broad spectrum, I'm not saying that you have to be it, but to help your client in front of you at that very moment, you should have a Felix the bag. Felix the
I love that.
bag of tricks.
I
So
love that too. And I feel like as I've been becoming a practitioner, I keep adding to that bag of tricks. Like I do. And I really resonate with that a lot. And I think it's important because, you know, homeopathy is amazing, circadian biology is amazing, but there are so many other practices and tools and things that are also amazing. And it's everybody is unique and individualized. And what's going to be that thing that works for that person is going to be unique and individualized. So, yeah.
but not only that, we have to look at it. We are evolving
Yes.
at all
Mhm.
times. So techniques also evolve. And
Yeah.
you say, for example, you know, Reiki was extremely popular 60s, 70s, and 80s,
Mhm.
right? And it's not so much anymore. And it's not that it doesn't work, is that we have evolved to something faster, easier, better. That's why you, in the last 20 years, you've seen the flowering, blooming of new techniques. And
Mhm.
it's not that we are reinventing the wheel, it's that it's faster, easier, and fun.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have to go through all of these protocols. And
Mhm.
healing gets really faster. And I'm going to give you an example. Yesterday, I had one of my favorite clients, and he is in his fourth appointment. And he's like, Dr. Limardo, what are we going to work with us? And he had a history of addiction.
Mm.
And in those 4 sessions, which are not every week because I use muscle testing or guidance to, to schedule the next appointment after soul integration. So we went through all of the limiting beliefs that he had at the very beginning of our first appointment. And he couldn't believe it. It's like, I have eliminated 90% of them.
That's beautiful.
It's like, this is magic. And I said, is your magic.
Mhm.
It
Exactly.
doesn't have
You
to
are the
do with
magic.
me. I am just telling you, look here, let's
Yeah.
observe here, let's see what's happening, right? But you are doing the magic.
Yeah. I
And
love
he's
that
like,
too.
he couldn't believe I removed 90%. He's like, but we still have 3 appointments. And I'm like, I'm sure your guidance will know exactly what we need to work on.
Mhm.
So those are the miracles or alchemy I see in my practice.
Yeah, the magic is within us, right?
Yeah.
And I love that. So that really resonated so much. Yeah.
How do you define energy medicine for your clients or for the layperson?
Well, energy medicine, that's a hard one because that changed through the years. But today, I say it's a group of tools that will allow you to align with your pure essence.
I love that.
So it will help you to have open eyes to see where an imbalance is or where you need to change your structures
Mhm.
or your way of being.
Mhm.
And also, one of the things that I have noticed is people in the quest of being super healthy, they stop doing things for joy.
Yes, it's so true.
Okay? Like, my God, if it's your birthday, have your German chocolate cake,
Seriously, girl, go for it. I love it.
right?
Yeah,
Right?
no, 100%. It's so true. They become I see this a lot with it, and I saw
Yes,
it in my own healing journey for sure. Super
you
rigid, lots
do.
of food fear, lots of fear about all the things. Their whole life becomes just trying to heal. They don't have, they're not just like you got to live. Like your life has to be your medicine. Like the way that you're living your life every day has to be part of your medicine. So yeah, I see that. So I'm so glad you brought that
So
up.
one trick that I'm going to tell everyone is when I am, for example, in my computer and I know there is green electricity and there is Wi-Fi, and first thing it's like I go with my left hand and I say neutralized and transform, neutralized and transform, neutralized and transform. And I
Mhm.
move my hand till it stops. And then I
Mhm.
say, I want to transform it in something healthy for me
Yeah.
or love or whatever, whatever
Mhm.
you feel in the moment. Because it is, the truth is that we are very great creators
Yeah.
and we create all sorts of energy, right?
Mhm.
We're magnificent creators. And some are not so great.
Mhm.
So just say neutralized and transform to
Neutralize and
something.
transform. I love that because there's a lot of fear even around, like you said, not any VMFs and all of that. But I think we are that powerful and we
Oh
have the
yeah.
choice of what we're letting into the field and what we're not,
Yeah,
right? So I really think we are that powerful.
Yeah, and
exactly.
then fear makes us constrict, right? So the more fear we
Yes.
have, the more
Absolutely.
constriction, the less we can connect with our innate intelligence and the energy and be in flow, basically. And
Hmm.
what you just described with that process that you do, that to me is the opposite, where you're facing it and then even embracing it, which is amazing because that's going to transform the energy inside and outside of you.
Beautiful.
Exactly. It's because we are such good co-creators. You have to remember that you could destroy and build
Mm.
with your energy. So,
Mhm.
what do you need to neutralize, destroy it, or transform into love, creativity, clarity, right?
Mhm.
You have the power to do all those things.
Yeah.
Just know it in your heart. Know it in your heart.
I think people like, first of all, hearing that in itself is like a big awakening, right? Just hearing that you actually have that power within us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to talk about, which is very important,
Mm.
because we've now know that our ancestors did works and it's in our genes and we're feeling it now.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel guilty. You
Mm-mm.
shouldn't feel that you're carrying a burden because that it's going to make it worse,
Yeah.
right? You're going to create some other things. So just from a neutral standpoint of view, be thankful that they did that for you. But because you have clarity now, you could neutralize it or totally get rid of it, of this information, if it's not for your highest good. Instead of, oh my God, because my parents did this to me and my great grandparents did it to me. Stop
Mm-hmm.
the shame and the guilt because you inherit something that wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Look for the reasons to be proud of what you have and what you are, and
Mm-hmm.
use your innate alchemy to change your future, which is
Mm-hmm.
not.
Yeah.
Right.
We literally always have a choice. Every moment
Yeah,
and every day we have a choice, right? And we're choosing every moment and every day, right? I love that. I love that. Yeah, because we can kind of like play the victim, have that blame and that shame and that guilt, and we can do that. So now when you're working with clients, when you're transmuting, say, that energy, say, of the non-native EMFs, right? Are you doing kind of the similar thing? This kind of like transmuting that energy with them? I'm just curious.
where is it? I use something that it's called a quantum chart,
Mm-hmm.
okay, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it has physical aspects, mental, emotional, spiritual, fears, past life. So let's say you come to me and you say, I have high blood pressure. So we could do muscle tests, although I could read with my hands and put my hands here and know exactly. But that was the old way of doing things, right? I was there to be your oracle, not anymore. So I will muscle test or tell her, let's ask your innate intelligence. Is the root of this process, is it physical? Is it mental, emotional, spiritual, past life? Or is it dissonant energies? So we'll do muscle tests because you have, in order to have a great healing, your client has to realize what's happening. You know, they have to have, oh, yes, it's physical. I've been feeling this for, 20 years, or since I was a little kid, I was having these things, right? Or is it mental? And then with a burst of energy, we could erase that from your field. But you have to be in total clarity as patient and as facilitator.
Yeah, both
So,
of you. Yeah.
yeah, right. So I use this. I use channeling, of course, but my channeling it's more in musical tones. It comes with my voice. I'm not an operatic singer, but when the information comes, it's like, whatever sounds and movements of my hands come in. But that is for the person to have a clearing. I don't, that doesn't come through unless it's absolutely necessary for the person. Because you have a person that might be open, but not open to that. And they would go, oh, my facilitator was crazy, right? So it comes to the right person. I also work in something more advanced that I call the database. Akashic records stay here. Database is where you get all the information there is in multi-universes. So
So the database is not. Oh no, I misheard you because I was thinking, okay, when you said database, I thought Akashic record.
No.
Database is
Akashic records, it's low here, so to speak. Database is where all the information is generated.
For the Akashic record?
Or
for everything?
For everything.
Akashic records are only for this planet. You have to know that.
Okay.
You're teaching us now.
But that's in my knowledge. But the database, it's for everything there is.
Okay, so you're saying multidimensional.
Multidimensional, multi-universe. It's where all the places your soul have been.
Right. Okay. Wow, that's cool.
So sometimes, and you have to be really mindful when you work in the database, because when you work in the database, it's not only affect your client, it's going to affect an entire universe, entire planet. Wow. So you have to really ask what's for the highest good of all involved. Wow. But it's very effective. And as a geneticist, I have been able to change certain genes. So when the person goes and I get the test, the marker is not there anymore. So it's been magical for me. But it's because, not that I feel that I'm better than anyone. It's a combination of knowledge that I have acquired, connection that I have, and purpose.
It makes me think, do you think like genes, you're a geneticist, right? You have a genetic issue that you deal with yourself. What do you think about gene mutations? Do you think they're their destiny? Do you think you said they could be turned off? Like, what do you think about that?
Well, some people, this is what I tell everybody. If your mutations are from birth, well, not from birth, congenital, that means during pregnancy they appear. Yeah. 12-year-old, the chances of that getting better are like 90% with medical attention, energetic attention, because you're working the last leg of your previous life.
Oh, I see.
Whatever was not resolved in your previous lives or parallel lives could be. But then you have a body after that, and that comes with puberty, that you could excite or turn on genes because of environment, trauma, what have you, right? But that's your responsibility now to have turned on that gene. And for me, that happened to me. The essential tremor, I turned it on at 12. Before that, I was fine. Right?
Do you know the trigger for that? I'm curious. Do you know what your trigger was?
Yes. There was a lot of the stress that I have of being open into this field. Also, my family was not very loving in response of what I had. And it's because they didn't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
But I understand that that gene needed to be open for the path that I had chosen.
Exactly. Yeah, it was part of your story, right? 100%.
It's part of my story. And if I never had, if that would have been resolved at 11, 12, I for sure wouldn't be here with you guys.
Yeah,
because
100%.
I changed my timeline.
Yeah.
So you have a choice at all points. Right?
Wow.
So this is teaching me a lot for me to be compassionate with others, to be compassionate with myself, to be compassionate with my family, to know that I am a co-creator and I could change things, right? The way I've changed my life in a way that I am 100% sure that I'm not going to need a DBS like my mom. Right?
What is that?
It's a deep brain stimulation.
Okay.
Yeah. Although the defect is in the cerebellum, but that's another story. Her neurologist convinced her it has to be in the brain. And I was, no. But I grew up, even with everything I do, my family is deaf to what I do completely.
They're not open to it at all,
They're
you're
not
saying?
accepting of it?
Not at all. In
Wow.
fact, they get sick. And the last person they will call is me.
Oh my
right? But I think he has unburdened me to not have the responsibility of my family's
That is true, because not that it's a
Yeah.
burden, but there needs to be boundaries around that, because my family is very accepting, very open, because they saw me fall so ill and then regain health through what I've done. So they're very open and very receptive, but then sometimes it's like, well, I don't know how much my body can take. Like, I need boundaries around that. So I've been working on that. I'm like, you need to see another practitioner that resonates with you. And sometimes in acute situations and things that are really easy, I support, of course, but it's not like, it is a really important piece that you bring in, because in a way, I could see where it could be hurtful because it's like not accepted, right? But then at the same time, it's also like, well, it's not my responsibility then, because I can feel that way with my parents, like, oh, this is my responsibility. They're getting older, like I don't want that responsibility. That's got to be somebody else's job, right? At this point.
No, and the funny thing is they call me. It's like, oh, I'm having this and that, but I'm gonna see somebody else.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, great.
Fine, good. Yeah. And it's their own life path and their own choices, right? And they have their own alchemy, and they're making that decision every day, and that's okay. Like, we have to be accepting of that too, right?
And that has prepped me somehow to be very neutral with my clients. I love them to death because the work has to come from love, but not from pity, right?
Yeah.
That poor person, it's not getting better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I 2 weeks ago, in one of my classes, one of my students went like, well, my client started crying and she was having this meltdown in front of me. And I went and I hugged her and I said, everything is going to be fine. And I said, no, you don't do that at all. Because she's going through a process of energy that it's an energy flow that needs to happen.
Yes.
Of course, you don't need to just get out of the room and leave that person right
Right.
there. But you need to allow this person to go through the thoughts that are coming through with the crying. The crying, it's a way of the vagus nerve system to calm down. And it's what the animals have a shaking when they release fight or flight.
Mhm.
So you need to be in that respectful
Yeah. Witnessing, just
mode.
witness. Yeah.
Just witness how the energy flows.
Yeah.
And
And
that energy flowing is so vitally important to
and
allow.
it's overwhelming
Right.
too.
Yeah. I'm
And to
so
have
glad you're
the love
teaching your
level.
students that because they were inserting their energy and interrupting their process because something in them got something in them got evoked and now now we have a disturbance in the
Yes.
And
process.
then the other question is, if you felt the need to hug her and you got triggered by that, what's the trigger?
Mhm.
What is that client reflecting you in your
Yeah.
own life?
Because it's always a mirror, literally.
Exactly.
Always.
Yeah.
That's why the clients come to you.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's always the mirror.
Absolutely.
So that's why they come. That's why there's this resonance, right?
Yeah.
Every single time, you know? So yeah, 100%.
Dr. Limardo, I'm curious, like, I'm guessing that in your work, there's no like stuck clients or things aren't working. There's always some rationale and or, you know what I mean? It's always the way it's supposed to be. Like, how would you address something not moving, or does that not really exist in your area?
Oh my God. Things tend not to move. And I'm going to be in the woo woo part for some people that don't understand.
We like woo woo. Go for it.
Yeah. Usually they have entities, programming, they have, I call them dissonant energies, not to make people go, oh, wow, she's going to do an exorcism, you know? Um, but when people feel stuck and they don't move forward, it's usually something else outside their realm.
Okay, so if there's some sort of energy outside of the realm, how do you transmute that? Is that something that you do, or do
I
you
do
have to
that.
move? Yes, you do. Yes.
I
Okay.
do. I do. I could use, I have levels
Mm-hmm.
of how to approach something. If somebody comes that cannot think for themselves, or is this person that has become completely not able to work, or their life is totally in shambles and cannot move forward, I would use certain frequencies that are very hard to listen if you have possessions, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Until the last one, it's when you feel that your soul it's integrated with you. And it's a process that takes an hour and a half. It's nothing like the moving The Exorcist. I tell everybody all these entities are looking for love,
Mm.
and they feed of sadness, doubt, because it's what they know.
Mm.
So what you do is relocating them
So that they're
into your
attaching to
life.
they're attaching to the person because of
A trauma or some sort of stuck belief that it's
ooh,
familiar to them.
yes, that makes
It's a
sense.
transference.
That
So,
makes a lot of sense.
okay.
Do your
So,
clients ever like feel them or know them or come to them? Do these entities ever come to them in dreams or anything like that? Has that you ever had that experience?
some of them might have an idea that this
Yeah.
is happening, but some of them not. So we go through a lengthy process of know who's in charge of your body, your life, and they immediately go, "I'm not in charge of my name."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Let's see who's in charge of your name." You know, that happens a lot with people that their parents were thinking that they have the opposite sex baby,
Yeah.
or they have disparities about what name,
Mm-hmm.
or an
Mm-hmm.
agreement of what name the baby should supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
That is an energy that impacts
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
And the most important thing to me is to align the person with their name, because your name is your address at this very moment.
Yeah, that's something I've learned in studying actual certain legal things is your name is bound to your body and soul.
Yeah,
See, I
so
think your soul
Very
picks the
deep.
name. I have that feeling that we kind of
absolutely. You
yeah.
choose all of the nicknames, the names that you're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point in your life, you have to integrate it and decide, okay, I'm integrating this name, but
Yeah.
I'm going to allow myself to be known by these other names. But the other ones are integrated.
I had this integration come up after taking carcinosin, which is very deep acting homeopathic remedy. I had this like knowing of like, well, this thing feeling around my birthday. I'm always hating my birthday and just I hated that I was born on Halloween, and it was just like, but it's like almost like I viewed it as like a part of not loving myself, right? And then I had this after taking that remedy, like a few months later, I had this download about like, well, my soul chose this, and this is part of me, and it's part of who I am, and this birthday felt so different. And I was like, it was such a cool shift because obviously not just your name but the time that you were born, the date that you're born, and
And
that
you
made me
chose.
question. Yeah, I chose that, right? But then it made me like question about, well, are these people who are having like cesarean sections that are like, or like inductions and all that? Well, then is that soul not getting to choose that, or is that part of the path? Like all these things are coming into my brain about that, but yeah, that resonates a lot for me. So
Everything is chosen
yeah,
for
everything.
everything is chosen. And
Mhm.
it comes through the Hara line, which is our wormhole, that
Oh, I love that.
all the
Yeah, makes sense.
information.
Yeah.
So it is actually the tunnel. People say, oh, when I'm dying in NDEs, oh, it's a tunnel.
Yeah.
It's the same tunnel you come through when you come into this body, because I
Oh, yeah.
remember
Okay.
that vividly. Okay, I
You
remember
remember that?
having
Oh,
this
wow.
plan,
Wow.
and I come through that tunnel, and there is a burst of light.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I'm a cell, and I'm a dividing cell. Um, so it's
Wow.
it's fun. It helped me and also make things a little bit challenging, but it's fun. It's fun.
Give us an example because I'm just so intrigued about your work and
Yeah.
it's really infinite. I'm hearing. Tell us about some of your client transformations and pre and post, or like what did they move through? Or I mean, I don't know. I could ask a million questions, but tell us about
Well,
some of your clients.
that if usually I do these kind of clearings, the second appointment. The
Okay.
first appointment, it's basically intake. And I always tell my students and my client, you're going to go home today with at least one issue resolved.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay? Why? Because they are tired of waiting,
Yeah.
right? They are
I hear
tired
it.
of not having a solution,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm a bridge to healing, at least something has to be resolved, even if it's tiny. right?
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
second appointment, we do this, but first we go into a mirror and I tell them, notice your face
Mm.
and notice saying your name and notice your eyes, right? So right after we finish the process, I tell them, go and look at yourself in the mirror.
Mm.
Eyes are totally beaming, full of light, and all of them tell me is, I finally can see my soul.
Wow. That is some deep work you're doing there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is like the second appointment, right? When we get you back to who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest is gravy. It's eliminating this layer.
Once you get back to who you are, that's the real, like when you said the less is gravy, like it's just icing on the cake, right? Because it's like once you're back to who you really are and you can see your soul, like you got this kind of, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they call me and they say, oh my God, these 3 weeks after that appointment have been so clarifying. I can actually see when I get upset. I can see when I said things about myself that were not nurturing. It's a different thing. Of course, I'm not saying that other um, energies can come to you,
Mm-hmm.
but you will be able to discern faster,
Mm-hmm.
ask for help, or just call me or text me. Dr. Limardo, do you have something that I could do fast so I can clear myself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and after the clearing, I tell them, now you have a responsibility for all your senses. What do you consume? What do you drink and eat and hear? And what are the places that you want to? And if you decide that you want to go to a concert, know that there is lots of energy there.
Yeah.
So put a bubble of love.
Uh-huh.
And then when you come back, tell the bubble to just vacuum everything that was not for your higher self and send it to where it belongs.
I love that. Mm-hmm.
Right? The
Mm-hmm.
same thing with a cake. It's my birthday, and the first thing I'm gonna say, neutralized and transform and joy and delight.
I love that. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, that's amazing. We really are that powerful. And one of the things I've been practicing this for the last couple of months is making my own little boundary bubble every morning in the morning when I wake up, and I say to myself, I decide what comes in and what doesn't. Like I choose that, you know. So I do really love that. Now you teach this. This is work that you teach.
I teach medical intuition right now. I have a certification going, one in English and one in Spanish. The
Awesome.
English one ends in January because
Mm-hmm.
it's a year and a half. Okay,
Wow.
I'm not gonna tell everybody it's 2 months. No, there is no microwave certificate in this. You need
Yeah.
to get into it.
Yeah.
Um, and the Spanish one ends in July.
So
So
when are you starting again the next cohort for
February,
February?
February is the next cohort. I only take a maximum of 20 students because it's hands-on and
Awesome.
it's you. I'm giving you a lot of information. If you're my student, you go like, ah,
Yeah.
there is more, right? So, but one thing I can guarantee with all my students is that they know who they are, they know their limits, they know they are creators, and they
Mm,
know how to help
yeah.
somebody to at least have one issue resolved in each appointment.
So there's probably a lot of inner work that has to be done
Yeah.
as the student, right? I'm assuming,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, to be able to be that medical intuitive. Yeah.
It's mainly personal work that you do.
Right.
And
Because
then in the fifth level, because they are 8 levels, in the fifth level, it's when you start fully working with clients because I want you to do that, even if you haven't finished.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time you finish, you have to have at least 25 clients that you did. Quantum charts, database, clearings, integration. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, you have to show that you're doing the thing, right? To be certified.
And this is virtual and in person, yes?
It's virtual.
It's all virtual, okay.
It's all it's live virtual.
Yeah.
I don't like to record myself into giving the energy because you don't feel it the same way if it's live. I wish I could do it live again. I did it live in Miami for many years.
You mean in person live?
Yeah, in person live. But online, it's great. It was, I had to overcome my limitation of thinking, oh no, this is not gonna work because you're not touching. And I'm like, hello, this is quantum physics.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's quantum energy, right? Where we can move,
I'm teaching quantum charts. What am I saying?
That's
am
like,
I lying?
I'm sure you know Eileen McCusick, where she thought she couldn't do
Yes, I
biofield
know her.
tuning. Yeah, you couldn't do biofield tuning, right, unless it was in person. But then she tried it virtually, and she's like, "This is exactly the same because I'm just focusing my attention that I'm in that person's field, and that you can still do it,
Yeah.
So,
So I tell my clients, my students, it's get a teddy bear or get a nice pillow that becomes your client. And one of the first persons told me, oh my gosh, that's why voodoo works. And I said,
that's
right?
hysterical. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. 100%.
Yeah.
It's all about intent. I don't know. I think intention is a huge piece of the pie. I'm sure you would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's where you're putting your intention, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Intention has always have to be for the highest harmonic frequency of the person.
Yes. Beautiful.
Such an amazing journey that you've been on, and the love that you're bringing to the world is just immense and so beautiful. And we were so grateful to have you on. Do you have other questions, Vanessa? I was going to ask her what kind of parting words of wisdom she wants to leave with us.
Yeah, let's go ahead. That's good. That's perfect.
What do you want our listeners to leave with, Dr. Limardo?
Oh my God. Awaken your inner alchemist. Because he's there listening to you. And be compassionate to yourself. Be kind to you and others. But don't be so. We spiritual people think that, oh, we have to love everything and be good. and we forget that we have boundaries. Being good, sometimes it's not the right thing to do. If it's affecting you completely. So that is a lesson for you to have a healthy boundary. When you're doing so many things for the good of all, are you wishing people being good to you? Is that what you're trying to reflect? Or is that your inner self or inner child that it's wounded, wanting to reflect?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I have a class.
Yes. Perfect.
On December the 6th. It's for everyone that wants to come. It's a 4-hour transformation. And we are going to clear or modify or whatever you need to do with submissiveness, inertia, and lack. You could choose one of those, or you could work all of them. I think those are the keys to completely awaken to your possibilities. We're submissive to relationships, governments, structures. And then once you're submissive to those structures,
Yep.
your inertia kicks in. I cannot move. I cannot do anything. And when
Yep.
you don't move and cannot do anything, lack sets in.
Yes. That is,
It's a chain of things.
yeah,
So,
that makes so much sense. Yeah, you explained that beautifully.
so I want to also give the listeners of this podcast a
Mm,
generous, generous discount.
nice.
$55, it's $89. But if you use the code B2H55, you're only going to get it for $34.
Wow, what a beautiful gift.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
thank you
such a
so
beautiful
much.
gift. Thank
You
you
know,
so
it's
much.
just, I want people to become integrated the
Yeah.
best they can be,
Mm,
having clarity, not worrying about the decisions the government takes or what's happening around, or some prophet said that this we are near to the end of the world. No, you have a multiplicity of timelines. Which one do you want to choose?
oh my God, I love that.
Which one do you want to choose? That's why I stopped reading tarot a long time ago, because
Yes,
I
yes.
could only see one timeline, and that's a disservice to your client.
I love that. Wow.
Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense.
You
Yeah.
are such an amazing gift. And thank you for that beautiful gift for our listeners.
Thank you.
And please tell listeners too where they can find you, learn more about your classes, learn more about your work.
Well, you can go to my website, which is www.marialimardo.com.
Mhm.
You can find me on Instagram. And the reason it's that I think it's more energetic, benevolent, but that's my take. And you find me there at María Limardo, Ph.D.
Mhm.
in Instagram. And basically that.
Perfect. Well, we'll have all that in the show notes, Maria. This has been so fun. Thank you so much for coming on. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Limardo. It was
Yeah.
a treasure.
Thank you.